Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at a file that's, well, it's about more than just hockey. It's about engineering success at a level the NHL has really never seen before.
That's right. And the context here is, it's pretty painful. We're focused squarely on the Buffalo Sabres.
14 years.
14 years without a single playoff game. For the owners, Terry and Kim Pegula, who have been so dedicated, and for a fan base that is just incredibly loyal, that kind of drought demands a real answer.
Not just tinkering around the edges.
No, not at all. It needs a systemic, almost revolutionary solution. And that's what this memo outlines, the franchise of the future model.
And when you say model, this isn't some theoretical idea. This is a blueprint that's been used elsewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. It's following the path of the absolute titans of modern sports. We're talking about the LA Dodgers, the Golden State Warriors, Manchester City, even the Mumbai Indians.
So what's revolutionary for the NHL is just standard practice for these other elite organizations.
It's standard operating procedure. And for the team behind this plan, the Franchise of the Future group, this is what they do. They've implemented these systems for, Fortune 7 companies like Microsoft, for NFL teams, NBA teams.
So for them, this isn't some massive, scary restructure. It's a high-impact, manageable implementation.
It is. It's designed specifically to reward that loyalty we talked about with consistent elite success. So let's start with the vision, because they aim high.
Which you have to, right? After 14 years, just saying, let's make the playoffs isn't enough.
It's a trap. That's the trap of incrementalism. You see it with teams like Toronto, always focused on these short-term fixes, trying to squeeze one more run out of a core that's aging out.
And they just end up stuck in the same cycle.
Precisely. So this blueprint, it avoids that by aiming exponentially higher from day one. They set 2 goals.
A launch pad and an orbit.
That's a great way to put it. The launch pad is what they call the Massive Transformative Purpose, the MTP.
Okay, what is it?
The MTP is to become the NHL's first modern dynasty through an elite high-performance culture, great people, emerging technology, and measurable precision. That's the immediate goal that guides every decision.
And the orbit, the big, audacious goal.
That's the moonshot. And get this. Win 4 Stanley Cups by 2032.
4 Cups by 2032.
And on top of that, lead the NHL in entry draft ROI, targeted free agent signings, and player development. It's so specific and so ambitious, it forces you to think differently.
It forces you to build the systems now that can actually achieve that later.
Right. It mandates what they call an unassailable strategy by 2028, which leads to this idea of the star magnet.
And this is fascinating. They're not just hoping to sign big free agents. They're engineering the organization to be the only logical choice.
Yes. The memo literally calls out being ready for when players like Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman become free agents. The idea is to offer them something more valuable than money.
A better, easier path to their own legacy.
A higher probability of long-term success. And to deliver on that, you need a totally different structure.
Which brings us to this core idea of splitting the leadership.
The in versus on model.
In a traditional front office, the GM does everything. They're worried about tonight's game in the draft 5 years from now.
And the urgent always cannibalizes the important. The pressure to win now just destroys any real long-term planning.
So they propose this bifurcated structure. Let's break that down. The in team, that's the general manager.
Yes, the GM and hockey ops. They work in the business, short and medium term.
So day-to-day roster moves, contract negotiations, trades, the reserve list, the upcoming draft.
All of it. The tactical, execution-focused work of winning now, they're in the trenches.
Okay, that makes sense. But then you have the Chief Innovation Officer, the CIO, leading the on team, which they call Sabres X.
And their focus is working on the business. Systematic, long-term innovation.
My first thought is, doesn't that create conflict? Turf wars.
It would in a normal setup. But here, Sabres X is designed to function like an autonomous R&D hub. Think Google X. And here's the critical link. The CIO's job is to build solutions for the strategic challenges identified by the GM.
Ah, so it's a support system, not a competing one.
Yeah.
The GM says, we have a problem with prospect development, and the CIO's team is tasked with inventing the solution.
That's it exactly. This division of labor is what allows the Dodgers and the Warriors to stay dominant year after year. It's a huge step for the NHL, but for the team implementing it, it's manageable. It's what they do.
So with that structure in place, they then focus on what they call the invisible architecture.
Culture.
Culture is what turns a group of talented individuals into what the memo calls an unbreakable collective force.
And the core value they land on is love. I have to admit, that sounds a little soft for professional hockey.
It does on the surface.
Yeah.
But they're very specific. This is not sentimental. It's a professional behavior. It means support, sacrifice. Think of a coach like John Wooden.
Right. His definition of love was demanding excellence and total selflessness for the team. That's the mysterious alchemy they're talking about. It's the essential ingredient. Without it, talent and strategy will always crumble under pressure,
And tied to that is psychological safety.
which is non-negotiable in a modern dynasty. You have to shift from a fear-based culture to a mastery-based one.
So players can take risks without the fear of being benched or traded for one mistake.
Right. And when that fear is gone, they learn faster, they adapt quicker, and they make fewer mistakes when it really counts.
And the glue holding it all together is character.
Character is what makes the values durable, and they have a fascinating way of screening for it, the underdog hypothesis.
Meaning they look for players who were late bloomers.
Exactly. Players who couldn't rely on being bigger and stronger when they were young. They had to develop superior skill, superior resilience, superior grit just to keep up. They have character baked in.
That's brilliant. Okay, so that brings us to the processes and the technology. This is where the advantage seems almost unfair.
This is where it becomes unparalleled. And it's all about acquisition, improvement, and management. AIM.
Let's start with acquisition. They talk about agentic AI. What's the difference between that and the AI we hear about every day?
The difference is huge. Passive AI is like a super calculator. You have to ask it a question. Agentic AI is like a digital employee. It gets a job description, and it works 24/7, 365 to solve a problem.
So in this case, its job is scouting, a global dragnet.
A global dragnet.
Wow.
A human scout has a telescope. They can see one game at a time. This AI sees the entire universe of games. It can watch every single shift of every single prospect everywhere in the world.
And it's not just watching, it's analyzing objectively.
Totally objectively.
Yeah.
It can deploy dozens of little software bots. One might be trained just to track a player's speed with and without the puck. Another is trained to normalize a player's value by age, to completely eliminate the relative age effect bias.
The bias where scouts overvalue kids born early in the year because they're bigger?
Gone. It just removes all these human narrative biases.
Okay.
So the human scout becomes an overseer. They get the summary of the universe of games and can make just exponentially better decisions.
That's incredible. And that tech advantage carries over to keeping players healthy with something called AQ.
AQ, yeah. This is arguably the centerpiece, the thing that creates the McDavid magnet effect.
So what is it? AI and quantum sensors?
That's right. And what it does is detect injuries at a molecular level.
Wait, what does that mean?
It means it can measure things like microscopic inflammation or high cortisol levels non-invasively, days or weeks before a soft tissue injury actually happens, before the player feels a thing.
So it's completely preventative. You're not reacting to injuries, you're preventing them before they start.
You are. And that has three massive impacts. One, you reduce injuries. Two, you manage the salary cap way more effectively because your stars are actually playing. And three, you extend careers.
By how much?
The memo estimates this tech can extend a player's career by 5 to 7 years, allowing them to play at peak performance levels well into their 40s.
That's the ultimate free agent lure. Forget the extra $1 million. We can give you an extra half-decade of your prime.
Who can compete with that? No one. And the key is, while this tech exists in Fortune 7 companies, they state it's currently unknown to NHL executives. It's an immediate, unparalleled edge.
They also mention a few other pieces of tech. Pupillometry.
Yeah, that measures a prospect's cognitive processing speed, how fast their brain works. It's an objective metric for how well they'll adapt to the speed of the NHL.
And homography.
That converts 2D video like a scout might get from a European league into 3D biomechanical data. It removes all the guesswork from assessing a player's skating form or shooting motion. It's just total risk reduction.
This all sounds incredible, but also incredibly expensive. Which brings us to the economic engine. How is any of this measured?
Everything falls under what they call the 3x ROI framework. It's modeled on organizations like the Dodgers. Every single investment, including this whole initiative, has to generate a threefold return.
And what are those three returns?
First is individual player performance. That's the AQ tech extending careers. Second is sustainable team success. That's winning championships, the moonshot.
And the third has to be financial.
Of course. Enterprise value and EBITDA growth. The profitability of the franchise. SaberX, the innovation hub, isn't a cost center. It's designed to be a profit center, with investments expected to generate 10x returns in this framework. The entire ecosystem is the strategy.
So to wrap this all up, it's a truly engineered approach to building a dynasty.
It is. You start with the audacious Moonshot 4 Cups, which forces new thinking. You support it with the dual in and on leadership structure, so the present doesn't kill the future.
You fuel it with a culture of professional love and psychological safety.
And then you guarantee the edge with these proprietary processes, agentic AI to acquire better talent, and AQ sensors to keep that talent healthier and more effective for 5 to 7 years longer than any other team can.
So the key takeaway for you listening is that modern dynasties aren't luck. They're not built by hoping. They are engineered. They are adaptive, measurable ecosystems, and it's a proven model everywhere, but it seems the NHL.
The goal is to build a culture where success becomes, in their words, an inevitability.
Which brings us to our final thought.
Yeah. We just established that the ability to detect injuries at a molecular level and extend a player's prime by 5 to 7 years is probably the single most powerful free agent lure in hockey. A true technological trump card.
Okay.
If that's number one, what non-technological element that they're building? What's the second most powerful attraction for that elite talent? Is it the stability of the structure, the psychological safety, or that professional definition of love? Something to think about.
Thanks for joining the deep dive.